We restored order. Granted, it was order that we caused. It was chaos that we caused, but we restored order. We left, and the shitstorm hit again. And we came back and fixed it again. And for the most part, it's much better than it was before. Do we come back again? And how many times? Again and again? No, I say no. I say we don't go back. I say we wish it well and let it burn. Whoever is left will figure it out eventually, or not. Friends, I am sick and tired of the American haters. We are the policemen of the world. That's a fact. You don't have to like it. You can say that we don't need to be. That can be your opinion. But we are the policemen of the world. And for the most part, the world is a better place than ever before. Now, you can argue about our mistakes because there have been many, many, many mistakes. If you don't like our current leadership, you can elect leaders that will do a better job. And by the way, that's your civic duty to elect leaders who do a better job, okay? You don't like Donald Trump? Put somebody out there who's better, elect him or her, and have them move the country in the proper direction. That's your civic duty. Most hunger in the world today is due to dictators, primarily in the third world, withholding food to punish their own people. That's most malnutrition. That's where most starvation, that's where most hungry people are in the world. Most people, especially in the third world, have cell phones. They have social media to communicate and to educate themselves. So they are more educated. They're smarter. They're better off than before. Ever. Never, ever, ever has the world, the whole world, been as good as it has, had it as good as it has had before. Now, you can use terms like, well, the Gini coefficient is terrible. We've got all these billionaires. Okay, that's fine. We do have a lot of billionaires. But I'm not talking about the billionaires. I'm talking about the people at the middle to the lower end of the spectrum and how are they doing. If you live in the lower end of the spectrum of a country, you might not have heat, but then you may live in a place of the world where you don't have heat, okay? But you probably have enough to eat. You probably have access to clean water. More people, and clean water is the big thing. And I read a story, I forget where it was, but they talked about people who have access to clean water is by far larger than any time ever in the world, and it continues to get better. So what happens if the policeman leaves Iraq? Iran will step in. And when Iran has problems, as they will receive help from Russia. Now, you've noticed that our European allies haven't really slammed us too much for killing Soleimani, and I'll tell you why. Because if we leave Iraq, and if that place turns into a shitstorm, and if the Russians take over and let the Iranians run it via proxy, where will the Europeans get their oil? That doesn't affect us because we have enough oil now. We're an oil exporting country nowadays. But where will the Europeans get their oil? In other words, they want us right there, keeping things just the way they are. That's why they haven't said much, okay? Now, when Iran has problems and they ask for help and they receive it from Russia, what happens then? If the policeman leaves the United States, if the U.S. policeman leaves, a new one will take its place. That happens every time. Find me a place in history where it hasn't happened. JamesStrongShow@hotmail.com. You can call it to my attention. I will welcome it if you have one. But you need to ask yourself this question before you say, we need to stop being the policemen of the world. If you truly think the U.S. is an oppressor in Iraq, do you really think that things will improve for the Iraqi people when Russia or China or both take over? Ask yourself that question, please, before you say, we need to pull out and leave and stop being the policeman of the world. There's always been a policeman. Look in your history books. Find a place where there hasn't, okay? And again, like I said before, there may have been one in some Mississippi River Valley back in 2,000 years ago, or you may have found it in some type of video game. But in the real world, friends, there have really never been an area that hasn't had a policeman ever. if we bow out and Russia or China or both step in, do you really think things will be better for the people in that part of the world? Think about it the next time you say, "Goddamn America." Well, that's it. I'm done. Hope you enjoyed the podcast. JamesStrongShow@hotmail.com. That's my email address. What you can do is you send me an email. I will then send you a link to the latest and greatest podcast via email. Upon publication, you can download it and listen to it at your leisure. Please feel free. In fact, I would encourage you to share the podcast with others. So if you like what you're listening to, and I have to think that you did, because if you didn't like it, you wouldn't listen, share it with others. Share the joy, share the love. I do appreciate it. That's it. Until next time, this is James Strong saying, adios.